First contact fallout. The bridge of the United Earth ship Defiance shuddered violently as emergency alarms blared throughout the vessel. Commander Ilara Chen gripped her command chair, her knuckles white, as the ship lurched again. "Status report," she demanded, her voice cutting through the chaos. Lieutenant Walsh's fingers danced across his console. "Navigation systems are completely down, Commander. We're being pulled off course by something I can't identify." The Defiance was supposed to be conducting a routine patrol along the edge of human-controlled space. Nothing about this mission had suggested danger until now. "Engineering, what's happening to my ship?" Chen called out. Chief Engineer Ortiz's voice crackled through the comm. "Main drives are failing, Commander. Something's draining our power reserves. Auxiliary systems are holding at 40% but dropping fast." Through the main viewport, Chen watched as unfamiliar stars streaked past. The ship was accelerating, pulled deeper into unknown territory by an invisible force. The darkness ahead seemed different somehow, emptier yet more ominous. "All hands to emergency stations," Chen ordered. "Lieutenant Kapoor, armed defensive systems." Security Chief Kapoor nodded grimly. "Defenses online, but power fluctuations make them unreliable." The bridge crew worked frantically, the unspoken truth hanging in the air. A disabled military vessel in uncharted space was as vulnerable as a wounded animal in shark-infested waters. Communications Officer Rodriguez suddenly straightened in her chair. "Commander, I'm detecting artificial signals. Multiple sources surrounding us." "On screen," Chen commanded. The main display flickered to life, showing dozens of small objects floating in space ahead. They were beacons, their lights pulsing with increasing urgency as the Defiance drifted closer. "Can you translate?" Chen asked. Rodriguez worked her console. "The message is broadcasting on all frequencies." Her expression shifted to confusion. "Commander, it's in perfect English." "What does it say?" "Warning. Human military vessel has entered restricted space. Retreat immediately or face consequences." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. The warning made no sense. Earth had charted this region years ago. It was supposed to be empty space. No planets, no resources, nothing worth restricting. "Sensors picking up multiple vessels appearing at our perimeter," Kapoor announced. "They weren't there a second ago." Chen watched as sleek ships materialized from nowhere. They were unlike any vessels she had ever seen, elegant with surfaces that seemed to absorb and refract light in impossible patterns. They moved with precision that suggested technology far beyond Earth's capabilities. "Hail them," Chen ordered. No response, Rodriguez replied. "They're maintaining formation around us." "They're containing us," Kapoor observed. "Perfect tactical positioning to prevent escape." Chief Engineer Ortiz's voice came through the comm again. "Commander, whatever was pulling us off course has stopped. I got partial navigation back, but main engines remain offline." "Keep working on it," Chen replied. "Rodriguez, broadcast on all frequencies. Identify us as an Earth vessel and explain that we entered this area due to navigation failure. Make it clear we have no hostile intent." Minutes passed without response. The alien vessels maintained their positions, neither approaching nor retreating. "Look at their formation," Kapoor noted quietly. "They're keeping their distance, like we're contaminated." Before Chen could respond, Rodriguez called out, "Incoming transmission." The main screen flickered, revealing not a face but a pulsing light that synchronized with the voice that filled the bridge. "Human vessel," the voice said, each word carefully pronounced. "You have entered forbidden space. Your kind is quarantined for the safety of all civilized species. Prepare for inspection." Chen stood from her chair. "This is Commander Ilara Chen of the United Earth ship Defiance. We mean no harm. Our navigation system malfunctioned." "Your claimed malfunction is irrelevant," the voice interrupted. "Your quarantine was established for good reason. Your species is classified as a grave threat." Chen exchanged glances with her officers. Whatever these aliens believed about humanity, they clearly considered the Defiance dangerous, not for its weapons, but simply because humans were aboard. One of the alien ships moved closer, its surface rippling like liquid metal. "Scan their vessel," Chen ordered quietly. Lieutenant Walsh worked his console. "Their hull composition is unlike anything in our database. Energy readings suggest technology centuries beyond ours." The alien voice spoke again. "I am Overseer Xalax of the Galactic Collective. Prepare for inspection. Resistance will result in immediate containment measures." "We need to understand why we're considered a threat," Chen replied. "We've had no prior contact with your people." There was a pause before the response came. "Your ignorance is expected. The restriction of human expansion was implemented before your species achieved interstellar travel." The bridge crew exchanged confused glances. "They knew about us before we even left our solar system," Walsh whispered. Rodriguez muted the transmission. "Commander, this doesn't make sense. Earth's first official contact with alien life was only 12 years ago." Chen nodded grimly. Apparently that wasn't first contact for them. She unmuted the channel. "Overseer Xalax, we respect your boundaries, but our presence here was accidental. Allow us to repair our ship and leave." "Impossible," Xalax replied. "Now that you have seen this sector, protocol demands containment." The main screen changed, showing an alien for the first time. Overseer Xalax had smooth greenish skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. 4 eyes, 2 large primary ones and 2 smaller secondary ones, studied the humans with clear intelligence. When he spoke, his mouth barely moved, but a series of gill-like structures on his neck pulsated. "Commander Chen," he said, "your species evolved on what we classify as a death world. Extreme gravity, corrosive atmosphere, lethal temperature variations, and constant biological warfare. Your very physiology represents a potential threat to galactic peace." Chen heard murmurs among her crew. Earth wasn't extreme by their standards. "Your planet's conditions have created beings that are unnaturally resilient," Xalax continued. "Coupled with your species' alarming psychological traits, pack bonding with unrelated individuals, adapting to trauma through humor, persisting through conditions that would trigger surrender responses in civilized species, you represent an unacceptable risk." The bridge fell quiet as the crew processed this information. They weren't feared for their weapons or technology, but for basic human qualities. Meanwhile, in the engineering section, Lieutenant Rashid and Ensign Kowalski had made a disturbing discovery. "Commander," Rashid's voice came urgently over the comm. "I found something in our navigation systems. This wasn't a malfunction. Someone deliberately altered our course parameters. There's a foreign algorithm embedded in our navigation core." "Can you trace it?" Chen asked. "Working on it," Rashid replied. "But it's sophisticated. Whatever pulled us here activated this program remotely." On the bridge, Walsh suddenly straightened at his console. "Commander, long-range sensors are picking up something else. Multiple objects approaching at high velocity from beyond the perimeter. They don't match the signature of the collective ships." Xalax's 4 eyes widened. He turned away, speaking rapidly in his native language to someone off-screen. When he faced the humans again, his demeanor had changed. "Unexpected development," he said, his voice tighter. "This sector is now under emergency protocols. Your inspection is postponed." "What's happening?" Chen demanded. "Irrelevant to your situation," Xalax replied, but Chen could detect the tension in his voice. "Commander," Kapoor called out, "the new contacts are accelerating. Impact trajectory with the collective fleet in 3 minutes." The approaching vessels were massive angular shapes that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Unlike the elegant ships of the collective, these new arrivals bristled with what were unmistakably weapon systems. "Overseer Xalax," Chen said firmly, "something's coming. If we're facing a common threat, cooperation would be mutually beneficial." Xalax hesitated, all 4 eyes blinking in sequence. Those ships belong to the harvesters. They are not political entities with whom one negotiates. They consume. They destroy. They are the reason restricted zones exist, to contain both Death Worlders and protect them from worse predators. Before Chen could respond, brilliant energy beams lanced out from the approaching harvester ships. Two collective vessels erupted in silent explosions. Evasive maneuvers. Salax ordered his fleet. The Defiance shuddered as the shockwave from the destroyed ships washed over it. Commander, Rashid's voice came through again. I've traced the navigation hack. It didn't come from the collective. Someone deliberately placed us in this exact position at this exact time. Someone wanted us here when these harvesters arrived. Chen realized aloud. But why? As if in answer, the largest harvester vessel adjusted course, heading directly for the Defiance. They're targeting us specifically, Kapoor reported, his voice steady despite the implications. Chen made a quick decision. All power to defensive systems. Prepare for engagement. The collective ships were scattering, clearly outmatched by the harvester fleet. Several more exploded under the devastating barrage. Commander Chen, Zalax's transmission cut through the chaos. Your vessel is the target. The harvesters rarely venture this far into collective space unless something attracts them. Whatever brought you here also brought them. We're not going down without a fight, Chen replied. And neither should you. A massive energy blast from the lead harvester ship narrowly missed the Defiance, illuminating the bridge with harsh light. All hands, Chen announced shipwide, prepare for combat. This is what we trained for. As the harvesters closed in and the collective ships retreated, the crew of the Defiance stood ready, a human response to an inhuman threat that neither they nor the collective fully understood. Whatever had drawn them all together was about to be revealed in fire and battle. The unthinkable alliance. The bridge of the UES Defiance rocked violently as another energy blast from the harvester vessels narrowly missed them. Emergency lighting bathed the crew in an eerie red glow as damage reports flooded in from all sections. Shields at 32%. Lieutenant Kapoor announced, his voice remarkably steady. One more direct hit and we're done. Commander Chen studied the tactical display. The collective ships were in disarray, clearly unprepared for the harvesters' devastating assault. 3 more alien vessels erupted in silent explosions as the angular harvester ships methodically cut through their formation. Chief Ortiz, status on the engines. Chen demanded. Partial power restored to maneuvering thrusters, Ortiz replied from engineering. But main drives are still offline. We can dodge, but we can't run. Harvester flagship is adjusting course, Walsh reported. They're coming around for another pass at us. Chen made a split-second decision. All power to forward shields. Prepare to receive impact. Commander, Lieutenant Rashid's voice cut through the comm from the engineering deck. I've been analyzing the harvester attack pattern. There's something odd about their targeting. Make it quick, Lieutenant. Shen replied as the massive harvester vessel loomed larger on the view screen. They're not trying to destroy us. They're trying to disable us. Their weapons are precisely calibrated to our shield frequency. Someone gave them our specifications. The implications were clear. This was no random encounter. The Defiance had been deliberately lured into a trap. Incoming transmission, Rodriguez announced. It's from the harvester ship. On screen, Chen ordered. The view screen flickered to reveal a humanoid figure shrouded in shadow. Only glowing eyes and the outline of an angular face were visible. Human vessel. The figure spoke in a surprisingly melodic voice. Your resistance is unnecessary. Submit to boarding. Your biological and technological distinctiveness is required. This is Commander Chen of the UES Defiance. We have no quarrel with you. State your intentions. Intentions are irrelevant. You possess traits we require. The collective has hidden Death World species from us for too long. Your unique evolutionary adaptations will strengthen our collective. The transmission cut abruptly as the harvester ship fired again. This time, the beam struck the Defiance directly. The bridge shuddered violently, consoles exploding in showers of sparks. "Shields down," Kapoor shouted over the blaring alarms. "Hull breach on deck 3. Chen gripped her chair as the ship stabilized. "Emergency containment protocols. Reroute emergency power to life support." Suddenly, Overseer Xalax's face appeared on a secondary screen. The collective leader appeared distressed, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly. "Commander Chen, the harvesters seek to assimilate Death World species. They incorporate biological and technological aspects into their own. That is why we quarantine planets like yours, not merely for our protection, but for yours." "You have a strange way of showing concern," Chen replied bitterly. "Necessity dictates our methods," Xalax countered. "But the current situation requires adaptation. We propose temporary cooperation." Chen raised an eyebrow. "What kind of cooperation?" "The harvesters have disrupted our fleet's formation. Our conventional tactics are failing. Your species' unpredictable nature, the very trait that makes you dangerous, may be advantageous now." Before Chen could respond, Rashid's voice came through again, excitement evident despite the chaos. "Commander, I've identified a weakness in the harvester ships. Their energy absorption systems have a resonance frequency. If we modulate our weapons to that exact frequency, we could overload their systems," Chen finished. "Kapoor, can we retune our phased array?" Kapoor's fingers flew across his console. "Yes, but we'd need to get extremely close, point-blank range. And we can't maneuver effectively with only thrusters," Chen mused. She turned to the screen where Xalax waited. "Overseer, we've identified a potential weakness in the harvester ships, but we need mobility we don't currently have." Xalax hesitated, his gill structures pulsating rapidly. "Elaborate." Chen quickly outlined Rashid's discovery and their plan. "Fascinating," Xalax said after a moment. "Such adaptive thinking is precisely why Death Worlders are quarantined. However," he paused, "2 of our scout ships could tow your vessel into position using gravitational manipulators, while we target their flagship." Chen nodded. "A joint operation." "Precisely. We will transmit coordinates for synchronized attack." As the transmission ended, Chen turned to her bridge crew. "This is it, people. Prepare for close-quarters combat." Minutes later, 2 sleek collective vessels maneuvered alongside the Defiance, enveloping the human ship in shimmering fields of energy. The damaged Earth vessel lurched forward, accelerating toward the massive harvester flagship. "Weapons recalibrated to resonance frequency," Kapoor reported. "Targeting systems locked. Collective ships are in position." Walsh added. "Synchronized attack pattern received." The combined force of human and collective ships hurtled toward the harvester fleet. The enemy vessels, apparently confused by this unexpected alliance, adjusted their formation too slowly. "Fire on my mark," Chen commanded as they closed the gap. 3, 2, 1, mark. The Defiance's weapons discharge, perfectly synchronized with the collective vessel's attack. Beams of energy struck the harvester flagship at precisely calculated points. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the massive ship's hull began to glow, energy cascading across its surface in waves of destructive resonance. "It's working," Rashid exclaimed over the comm. "Their absorption systems are overloading." The harvester flagship shuddered violently, sections of its angular hull breaking apart as the cascading energy reaction intensified. Suddenly, the massive vessel erupted in a blinding explosion that rocked the Defiance and its collective escorts. "Target destroyed," Kapoor confirmed, a rare smile breaking across his face. "The remaining harvester ships are retreating," Walsh reported. "They're breaking formation and jumping to FTL." A cheer erupted across the bridge. Commander Chen allowed herself a moment of relief before activating the comm to engineering. "Excellent work, Lieutenant Rashid. Your insight saved this ship, and quite possibly the collective fleet as well." "Just doing my job, Commander," Rashid replied modestly. "Though I had help." Ensign Kowalski spotted the resonance pattern in the sensor data. Chen made a mental note to commend the ensign as Overseer Xalax's face appeared on screen again. "Commander Chen," the alien said, his voice carrying a different tone now. "Your tactics were unexpected, effective, but chaotic by our standards." "Sometimes chaos is exactly what's needed," Chen replied, "especially when facing an enemy that expects conventional responses." Hylax studied her with all four eyes. "Perhaps we have been too rigid in our assessment of Death World species. Your adaptability, while concerning in some contexts, proved valuable today." "I think we've all learned something," Chen said. "Someone deliberately orchestrated this encounter. They manipulated both our navigation systems and alerted the harvesters to our presence." "Indeed," Xalax agreed. "Our analysts have traced the origin of the signal that compromised your systems. It came from within the collective. A faction that wanted to prove humans were dangerous," Chen suggested, "or perhaps one that wished to demonstrate you could be allies." Xalax countered. "Not all within the collective agree with the quarantine protocols. Some argue that Death World species offer unique perspectives and abilities. So we were part of a political demonstration," Chen said, unable to keep the edge from her voice. "Politics spans species, Commander, but the outcome was not what anyone anticipated." Xalax's gill structures pulsated in what might have been the alien equivalent of a sigh. "The Collective Council will convene to reassess humanity's classification. This incident will be informative to their deliberations." "And in the meantime," Chen asked, "repair vessels are en route to assist with your ship's restoration. Once functional, you will be escorted back to the boundary of human space. Not as prisoners." "No," Xalax admitted. "As provisional contacts. The quarantine remains in effect for now, but your specific vessel has earned an exception." After the transmission ended, Chen turned to her bridge crew. "Well, it seems we've made quite an impression. So humans are still classified as dangerous," Rodriguez mused. "Yes," Chen replied with a small smile. "But now they understand that dangerous doesn't always mean hostile. Sometimes it just means we've evolved to survive against the odds." Over the next several days, collective engineers worked alongside the Defiance's crew to restore the ship's systems. What began as a wary cooperation gradually evolved into genuine exchange, as both species discovered unexpected commonalities, despite their physiological differences. On the final day before departure, Overseer Xalax visited the Defiance in person, the first collective official to willingly board a human vessel. As he toured the ship, escorted by Commander Chen, he observed the crew's interactions with evident fascination. "Your people form bonds quickly," he noted after witnessing the easy camaraderie between human and collective repair teams. "Even with those physiologically different from yourselves." "It's one of our better traits," Chen replied. "We seek connections, even across boundaries. A Death World adaptation that serves beyond survival." Xalax mused. "Perhaps there is wisdom in that which the collective has overlooked." As they reached the bridge, Xalax presented Chen with a small device. "This contains astrographical data for safe passage back to your territory, along with encrypted frequencies to contact the collective in emergencies. Not standard protocol for quarantine species, I imagine," Chen said with a raised eyebrow. "No," Xalax admitted. "But the universe is changing. The harvesters grow bolder. Old methods may no longer suffice." "Are you suggesting an alliance might be possible someday?" "I am suggesting, Commander, that adaptability, a trait your species exemplifies, may be what ultimately preserves all our civilizations." Xalax's four eyes blinked in sequence. "The collective has survived for millennia through careful isolation and control. Your species has survived by embracing challenge and change. Perhaps both approaches have merit." As the Defiance departed the next day, escorted by two collective vessels to the edge of restricted space, Commander Chen watched the stars streak past on the view screen. What had begun as a potential disaster had transformed into something unprecedented. the first step toward understanding between radically different species. Set course for Earth, she ordered as they cleared the boundary. We have quite a report to deliver. The UES Defiance accelerated to FTL, carrying with it not just its crew, but the seeds of a new chapter in human and galactic history. One where being classified as dangerous might ultimately prove to be humanity's greatest strength in a universe full of unexpected threats.